There's a quiet kind of power that radiates from the INFJ when they're alone. Not the desperate silence of loneliness, but the sacred calm of returning home to themselves. While the world panics at the idea of isolation, the INFJ retreats into it with an almost mystical reverence, as though solitude isn't something to escape from, but something to be reborn in. Because for them, being alone isn't a void. It's a cathedral. It's where their truest self begins to speak, and where the noise of the world finally stops screaming. Most people fear being alone because it confronts them with their own emptiness. But for the INFJ, solitude is not emptiness, it's clarity. It's the space where they remember who they were before the world told them who to be. And in that sacred stillness, they find something most people never do: peace without permission. 1. The INFJ's sacred retreat into silence. The INFJ has always known that silence holds answers that words cannot. To them, being alone isn't about withdrawal, it's about returning to alignment. Every interaction they have, every emotion they absorb from others, begins to accumulate like invisible weight. And solitude becomes the only way to set that weight down. When they step into solitude, something sacred happens. The world softens. Thoughts slow down. The intensity of others fades, and their inner voice, the one that's so often drowned out, begins to whisper again. This is why the INFJ doesn't chase company for validation. They chase connection, yes, but only the kind that mirrors the depth they already carry inside. Anything less feels like noise. Solitude becomes a sanctuary, a holy space where their intuition sharpens, their creativity reawakens, and their soul begins to breathe. While others crave distraction, the INFJ craves integration. They don't run from silence, they dissolve into it. 2. The world misunderstands their withdrawal. To outsiders, the INFJ's comfort in solitude looks like detachment. People say things like, "You're too distant," or "You isolate too much," but they don't see what's happening behind the quiet eyes of an INFJ. The INFJ doesn't withdraw to escape others, they withdraw to reconnect with themselves. Every empathic interaction leaves behind a residue of energy that isn't theirs. So when they step away, it's not rejection, it's cleansing. It's an act of emotional maintenance that keeps them spiritually alive. And yet, this act of self-preservation is often misread as arrogance or apathy. But the INFJ knows that if they stay too long in the world's chaos, they lose their sense of self. The line between who they are and who others want them to be starts to blur. Their solitude, then, is a form of truth-telling. It's a quiet declaration that says, "I will not lose myself to be accepted by others." 3. The power of inner worlds. If you could step inside an INFJ's mind during their alone time, you'd find something astonishing: vast emotional landscapes, philosophical reflections, flashes of intuitive insight that feel almost prophetic. Their solitude isn't passive. It's alive. It's filled with invisible conversations between the conscious and the unconscious. Their imagination becomes a portal to healing, to creation, to deeper understanding of humanity itself. In solitude, they write, they dream, they reflect, they question everything. They explore their pain not to dwell in it, but to extract its meaning. And that meaning becomes wisdom. This is why INFJs often emerge from periods of isolation transformed, quieter, yes, but also clearer. They've wrestled with the ghosts inside them and turned them into light. While most people fear being alone because it confronts them with emptiness, the INFJ finds fullness there, fullness of meaning, vision, and renewal. 4. Solitude as spiritual alignment. The INFJ's solitude isn't just psychological. It's deeply spiritual. It's where they connect to something greater than themselves, something infinite, mysterious, and unseen. In those quiet moments, they often sense the invisible web that connects everything. They see patterns in human behavior, synchronicities in life's timing, and signs in stillness. Their intuition becomes their compass, and solitude becomes the sacred ground where that compass realigns. While others look outward for direction, the INFJ looks inward, because they know the truth. The world outside is only a reflection of the one within. And so, their solitude isn't loneliness, it's communion. It's a conversation with the divine. It's how they hear what life is trying to tell them. To an INFJ, solitude isn't punishment, it's prayer. 5. The reclamation of energy. For the INFJ, energy is everything. Their sensitivity makes them attuned to every emotional undercurrent in a room. They absorb tension, sadness, fear, sometimes without realizing it. So solitude becomes their recovery space, the place where they release what isn't theirs. It's the energetic detox that keeps them from burning out. They know that the longer they stay immersed in the noise of others, the dimmer their inner light becomes. Solitude reignites that flame. It restores their vibration. It recenters their sense of purpose. This is why INFJs can go from feeling drained to deeply peaceful after spending time alone. They're not escaping reality, they're recharging their capacity to love it. 6. The wisdom of detachment. Most people believe connection means constant closeness. But the INFJ knows something deeper, that real connection requires space. They understand that too much attachment breeds dependency, and too much noise breeds confusion. So, they let go. Not because they stop caring, but because they value clarity over chaos. Their solitude becomes a practice of detachment, a way to observe life from a distance, to see things as they are instead of how emotions distort them. This detached clarity gives them emotional intelligence that others often mistake for coldness. But make no mistake, the INFJ feels deeply. Their detachment isn't apathy. It's mastery. It's their way of loving without losing themselves. 7. Solitude as a form of freedom. The INFJ's soul thrives on freedom, not the kind defined by movement, but by stillness. They're not afraid to be alone because solitude means autonomy. It means no masks, no expectations, no need to explain or perform. It's the one space where their authenticity is unconditional. In solitude, they're not the caretaker, not the listener, not the empath absorbing others' pain. They're simply themselves. For the INFJ, that freedom is sacred. It's not loneliness, it's liberation. And once they taste it, they never want to return to the chaos of codependent connections. 8. The creative force of solitude. Solitude isn't a void for the INFJ, it's a forge. It's where their best ideas are born, where visions take shape, where dreams turn into blueprints. Every great INFJ creation, whether a piece of art, a book, a life vision, emerges from the quiet hours when no one is watching. Their mind, freed from the noise of others, begins to connect the invisible dots of life. Inspiration flows like electricity, and they channel it effortlessly. To them, solitude is not an absence, it's the birthplace of creation. It's where they become co-creators with the universe itself. 9. The transformation through stillness. Every time an INFJ enters solitude, they come out transformed. It's as if each retreat is a small death and rebirth, shedding layers of energy, identity, and expectation that no longer serve them. They enter solitude tired, heavy, misunderstood. But they emerge lighter, clearer, and stronger. This is the alchemy of being alone for the INFJ, the quiet transmutation of pain into power, confusion into insight, and heartbreak into self-understanding. They don't fear being alone because solitude is transformation. It's where they evolve, not where they decay. 10. When solitude becomes self-mastery. Over time, the INFJ's relationship with solitude becomes more than comfort, it becomes mastery. They no longer need the constant reassurance of others. They no longer chase validation. They no longer fear the silence, because they've made peace with it, even befriended it. They learn that being alone doesn't mean being unloved. It means being whole. It means having a relationship with themselves so profound that external approval becomes optional. And this is the secret power of the INFJ. They've discovered that solitude isn't isolation, it's integration. It's where they stop trying to fit in and start becoming. In a world terrified of being alone, the INFJ stands as proof that true strength doesn't come from company. It comes from communion with one's own soul. So when you see an INFJ sitting quietly by themselves, don't mistake it for loneliness. That's not absence, that's presence. That's not silence, that's realignment. They aren't disconnected from life, they're tuning back into it. Because solitude isn't their weakness. It's their source. It's where they stop pretending and start remembering. And in that remembrance, they become what they were always meant to be, whole, awake, and unafraid.